Hey folks, it is the weekend before Thanksgiving, and it's getting to be that time of year where we're going to start to think about our supplemental feed strategy while we have these animals out on corn stalks through most of the winter. I will say everything I'm about to say is very, very weather dependent. Some years, we're out here well into February, and these does will kid in March, so they're out here on corn stalks well into their third trimester. Some years we get a big blizzard between Thanksgiving and Christmas that buries all the fences and buries all the corn stalks, and it gets to the point where it's more work and more money to keep them out here than it is to just move them to dry lots and just put them on 100% alfalfa hay. And those are kind of the two extremes. Most years are somewhere in between. A real example, a couple years ago, we had a really big blizzard, two real big blizzards back to back in mid-January, and the snow was about chest deep in this area where I'm standing right now. And it doesn't really matter how tough your goats are, they can't breathe underneath snow. They're not going to be able to get sufficient nutrients through that snow, even if they can stay on top of it. And all your fences are underneath snow. It's not a good idea to try to keep them out here under those circumstances. So just a big caveat that we're kind of at Mother Nature's mercy here. But these does right now are just getting into their second trimester. So their nutrient requirements are just starting to tick up above maintenance levels. And these corn stalks, ignoring the actual corn because that doesn't actually go very far because they kind of root that out pretty quickly. Corn stalks themselves are only going to be like 6 to 7% crude protein on the high end, and they're going to be like 60% TDN on the high end. And that goes down over time as these animals eat the more nutritious parts of the corn stalks and leave behind the less nutritious parts, so it degrades, those numbers go down over time. As those numbers go down and as that animal nutritional requirement goes up, going all the way into third trimester, like I said, we do need to start thinking about supplemental feeding. What I do for supplemental feeding, there's a lot of different things. You can do pellets, you can do range cubes, you can do higher quality grass hay. I do high quality alfalfa hay. And so what we're doing, I got the panel rack out here. We set up a rig, 6 panels. We set up 2 or 3 of these. We put a pallet in the middle here. I'll set a bale on end and then put a tarp over it, and it just sits there until we need it. And it's, I've used the term bale grazing to refer to this before. It's not really bale grazing. I'm well aware it's not really bale grazing. It's more just pre-staging the supplemental feed so I don't have to come out here with heavy equipment every time I want to give them a little bit of hay or something like that. And when it comes time, we'll take that tarp off, we'll open that bale up, and we'll fork some hay over the fence, over the gates here, just onto the ground. A lot of how much I give them is dependent on how well they cleaned up what they were given previously, as well as condition scoring and just looking at the environment and stuff like that. If we get an ice storm and there's a ½ inch of ice on the ground, they're probably going to get a little bit more because they're going to have a hard time getting, fulfilling their nutritional requirements when they have to dig through ice. Usually start supplementing sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas. This year, because it's all corn stalks, we don't have any soybeans available. It's going to be closer to Thanksgiving, most likely. Again, these gals are already getting into second trimester. I want to stress it's supplemental. And when I first start doing it, it might only be, a pound a head for a week or something like that. And the exact math and how I'm feeling, again, depends on what the environment's like, what I'm estimating the feed value out there is at, how the animals look, how the animals are acting. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. But we're not, generally speaking, I'm never doing this every day. At most, I'm doing it every other day. As we get further into winter, again, the quality of corn stalks go down. Those does are pregnant. Their nutritional requirements are going up. We do get to the point where we're supplementing more and more, and it usually by early February, we're pretty close to 50% of their dry matter requirement we're fulfilling with pretty high quality alfalfa hay. I actually take the highest quality bales and use them for this out of whatever hay we have for the year because, again, this is supplemental. It's just in addition to the corn stalks are out here. Their primary roughage, their primary dry matter intake is still going to be corn stalks, and that still saves quite a bit of money overall. So it also saves money in a lot of other ways, keeping them out of confinement, keeping them out of dry lots as much as possible. They're out here in a large area. They can get away from each other. They're less likely to spread diseases to each other. I don't have, back when I used to keep them in confinement in the winter, I used to have a lot more problems with pneumonia. I had a lot more problems with other communicable diseases. Would just become a real pain in the winter. When they're out here, I really don't have any problems. Very, very few health problems. But I think that's about it for now. I'm sure I'll make some more videos talking about this, and we'll make a video at some point talking about the math and like how to know, how to estimate based on the crude protein levels of corn stalks and how much alfalfa you're giving them, and give you kind of a baseline to go off of. Thing about the equations and you can do all the math and equations in the world, but every feed stuff has a range of quality to it, and every environment is different, every animal is different. You really have to actually evaluate your situation and keep an eye on those animals and keep an eye on that environment. So I don't get too much into the math, but it is very good to know if for no other reason than planning purposes. And it's also good to know just so you understand what it is that you're doing.